The Deer Farming Channel is brought to you by Rafter P Construction. Stick around to learn more about Rafter P's design build process and, of course, the biggest deer in the world. Howdy everybody, Deer and Wildlife Tourist comes to you this week from High Roller Whitetail's Big Buck Draft and Premium Deer Auction. Come on in. The whitetail deer is America's favorite big game animal, and whitetail deer farming is the fastest growing segment in the American agriculture industry. Our program's mission is to dive into the world of deer farming and discover why tens of thousands of Americans compete to create the biggest bucks in the world. And by the biggest bucks, we don't just mean the size of the antlers. The financial investment opportunities produced even on small parcels of rural land will blow you away. Join me as we discover how whitetail genetics, deer auctions, animal husbandry, and so much more drive the deer farming industry. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. So this event happens to be one of the most looked forward to events in the entire deer industry. I mean, every year, no matter where I go, people are always asking, you gonna be at the High Roller Draft? The answer is absolutely. And when you take a look at the guys in the room and the gals in the room, you're gonna see that any of these people in this room are people that are serious about the deer business.
I'm James Butler. We're in Center, Texas. We're here at the 6th annual Big Buck and Doe Draft at High Roller Whitetails. We've got deer breeders from all over the country here today. This year is going to be a little bit different. This year we're doing 56 spots. There's 50 doe spots, 5 buck spots, and 1 spot that we donated to NADIFA. The way it's going to work this year, once the 5 buck spots are chosen, then there will only be doe spots to select. We have bred does, we have fawns. Every farm is at a different level of genetics and needing different things. So we have something that'll work on any farm, whether you've been in breeding deer for 30 years or you just started today. The kicker part about the bucks, once we start the drawing and the bucks, and you pick your buck, you gotta pick your buck today. You come over this summer, do a farm tour, you look at your buck, you're not happy with it, you get to trade that buck in for another buck that's growing out. Once we get all our genetic testing and our numbers back. So if the yearling doesn't suit you, you can trade it in for any of the other bucks that are still available.
Each one of the people in this room are competitors, but you also take a look around the room, and I don't know of another business there is where competitors help each other out. I mean, you look at that table and you got those guys talking to each other and a couple of women talking to each other and all. And yes, they're competitors, but they're also friends. And I think that's one thing that's unique about the deer industry. And just like everything they do at High Roller, I mean, it's first class. Every place you look, you're gonna see a giant deer. Some of these deer are legends. I mean, you take a look, some of them are still alive, some of them aren't still alive, but they're alive through the breeding. And what I mean by that is that the genetic lines that these deer come from and the genetic lines that these deer will produce are gonna stay in this industry for a long, long time. So this year is a little bit different. You know, they're gonna pick only 5 bucks and they got 50 does out there. So the way it works is everybody's gonna get together and everybody's kind of strategizing. There's a catalog and you take a look at all these deer in the catalog. And yes, it's run just like a sports draft. Now, you're gonna wind up, once you pay the money to become a participant, they're gonna call you up one by one up on the stage. And you're gonna spin the wheel, okay? And you're gonna get a number. And that number is going to stick with you because that's going to be your draft pick when the draft starts. So obviously you want to have a low number. And I look around the room and I think, man, I've known a lot of guys through the year who've gotten really lucky with their picks out here. And some of their picks have become some of the biggest bucks in the industry.
My name is Brad Hassig. I'm with Prime Acres Whitetails. We've been coming to the buck draft every year now since High Roller started putting them on. We've been real successful in the draft. Mr. Legit was a pick several years ago of ours in the draft, as well as Big Jake. Great to be partnered on these deer with High Roller. They get seen a lot up here and marketed a lot through everything High Roller does. This event always draws a great crowd. High Roller has some awesome genetics. It kind of puts all their genetics at showcase here during this event. The Big Buck Draft book just highlights all their latest and greatest pedigrees, and everybody's here to get a shot at that super buck and hopefully have a good auction, pick you up a real good deer there as well. We've got 2 draft picks this year in the Big Buck Draft, and everybody's hoping for that #1 pick. Regardless where you fall in the draft, you're going to end up with a high-end animal. Been sorting through the animals in the book and looking forward to making our pick tonight. I've sure got my eye on a few favorites. This year the draft's a little different. You can choose whether you want to pick a buck or a doe. I've got my eye on a couple special females in the draft. Hopefully if everything goes well, I'll get to pick one of them up.
So I guess they could computer generate some way to draw numbers and kind of select this, but they don't do that. They do things the old-fashioned way. They have fun. I mean, that's what it's all about. The deer business, I mean, it's a serious business, but who says we can't have some fun? So with High Roller, they make it a lot of fun. So it's always interesting to find out who draws #1. Everybody in the room wants #1. They're all going up and spinning the balls. And, they get it. Oh, some people are not real happy. Some people are really, really happy. But so far, #1 hadn't been picked yet. So the question is, who is going to get #1? So at the end, we find out who drew what. And so we know who has ball #1. We know who got #2, and so on down the line. So now at this point, everybody starts trying to strategize. What do they want to pick? They're trying to figure out, what do they want? I mean, what are they looking for? A buck or a doe? And they're hoping that nobody picks a deer that they want. So now everybody has got their picks in mind. And now all of a sudden, the draft starts.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by MVP Whitetails, Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics, UVC Power Sports Tractors and Outdoors, Rafter P Construction. For more videos on deer farming, check out the Deer Farming channel on YouTube.
The cool thing about deer farming is if you watch our show for any length of time at all, you'll know that it's a family deal. I mean, you look around the room and husbands, wives, and fathers, sons, and you see even little bitty kids, and they get involved. And don't think the deer business is just for a bunch of guys. There's a lot of guys in it. There's a lot of women in it too. I think it's cool to see the women in the room. And the reason why is because most guys, if you got a woman in your life, if you're gonna get in the deer business, you need to have her support. And why not? Every one of us loves whitetail deer.
I'm Jody Phillips with P-Bar Whitetails, and we come to the High Roller event every year. It's a good way to kick the year off. In January, it sets the tone for all the sales for the year. There's always a lot of good lots here. It's a good tool to learn pedigrees and a great way to improve your genetics on your ranch. It's so much fun to come here. We really enjoy it. Every year, James puts on a great event. James and Verona do a great job, and the entire High Roller crew. So the cool thing about the draft is you can draft a doe, and you never know, she could be the mom of next year's big 2-year-old, or she could be the mom of this year's giant yearling. The possibilities are endless because if there's offspring on the ground here, likely it's going to be a big offspring. You're not just buying a doe, you're buying a chance to have the next big breeder, the mom to the next big breeder, the sister to the next big breeder. It's not just all about the bucks.
I think one of the interesting things about the way James changed up the draft this year is with the 5-buck picks. I mean, when you think about it, there's no way you can lose. Seriously, if you pick a buck, you can't lose, and here's the reason why. You're gonna pick what deer you want going into the draft. So you're gonna get, I want deer, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's fine. And then after the antlers grow out, you're gonna get a chance to come and take a look at your pick. And if you're not happy, pick another one. Like I said, there's no way that you can lose at High Roller.
My name's Charlie Evans. I am a ranch owner, and I have some partnership with Tom Maloof and Maloof Whitetails out of Wills Point. And we're here to hopefully get some amazing genetics to add to our program, both in the breeding pens and also for our ranches that we both hunt on. Yeah, so the buck draft is really interesting. You know, first of all, you know, High Roller and the Bailey family and James Butler put on just a first class event. I mean, it's just amazing to have all these high-level deer breeders and farm and ranch owners here, not only breaking bread and having fellowship, but also competing against each other. And everybody's trying to get the best pick possible for what they're trying to do for their ranches. And it's just a fun atmosphere. I mean, everything is just top notch. It's an amazing event for us to come to.
My name's Neil Patan with G&K Whitetails. We've got Whitetail Deer Farm just outside of Midway, Texas. And we're here at the High Roller Sale today to have some fun with our buddies out here and possibly improve the genetics of our herd. This is one of the most fun events of the year, and it's a heck of a way to kick the year off. This is our 4th year being at the High Roller event. 2 years ago, we were fortunate enough to draw Black Ice. He's a big 2-year-old out here at High Roller. Black Ice has got an unbelievable pedigree. He's got a heck of a look, long beams, long tines. He's over 30 inches wide. As a 2-year-old, he's just really, really impressive deer. Having a deer like Black Ice on the farm, it gives potential customers a heck of a deer to look at, and the pedigree that he's got is going to match up really nicely with our does and drastically improve our genetics going forward.
So the draft picks have all been made. Okay, everybody's happy, and now all of a sudden it's not over. Okay, now there's a premium deer auction. And this premium deer auction, every single one of the deer in this auction go back to the High Roller genetics.
After the sale, we have a premium genetics sale. It is all of our customers that come and participate in the sale. It's been the highest averaging per lot sale the last 6 years. I don't look for it to change this year. It is a phenomenal lineup this year.
I honestly couldn't tell you what my favorite deer is out here. I look around the room and I think there are so many giants. And so, like walking into an ice cream store and somebody's saying, what's your favorite flavor? It's like, man, I want to taste them all. I like that one because of this. I like that one because of that. And so when you start looking at the lineup of these deer, like I said, this whole draft is like a sports draft, but all of them are superstars. And so I don't know which one's your favorite, because I don't even know which one's my favorite. And I've been doing this for a long, long time.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Big Time Whitetails and Exotics, LE Fence, Record Rack Deer and Elk Feeds, UVC Power Sports Tractors and Outdoors, and by New Dart. Deer and Wildlife Stories will be right back. Closed captioning is brought to you by Advanced Deer Genetics.
Just another day on a deer farm. So if deer are going to have any value at all really in the breeding programs, they need to have DNA, and DNA can be gathered in many ways, but the way that we do it here on our place is by taking the fawns when they're fresh born, and when we're going to ear tag them, we take a tissue sample kit basically, and NADAR, the North American Deer Registry, you can get them from NADAR. What it is, it's a little like a test tube, and we get a tissue sample. It goes inside that test tube, and then we write the information down as far as what the unique number is in the kit. And every one of those tissue samples has got a little barcode on it, and so we send that into the registry, and then what they wind up doing is they run a DNA analysis on it, and you'll have a certificate of that deer that accompanies that deer for the rest of its life. And so that way we can track who that deer came from and what that deer throws throughout its life. And by doing that, that's what improves the value of the deer. So on deer farms, if your deer don't have DNA, they're not nearly as valuable as if they do have DNA to back up who you say they are.
If you want to learn more about deer farming, check out the Deer Farming channel on YouTube.
I'm always amazed at how welcoming the deer farming community is to new people. I mean, there's some people that may be sitting on the fence, so to speak, saying, I'd like to get into deer farming, but I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a clique. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable. You'd feel comfortable. You walk in the room here and they're going to embrace you. They're going to welcome you. I mean, no matter what you do in your life, whether you're a plumber, a ditch digger, or a brain surgeon, you're welcome. If you love whitetail deer and you're interested in the deer farming industry, I mean, I can't think of a better place to come than the High Roller Draft. And the reason why, you're going to be surrounded by people that love whitetail deer, that are serious about the business, and they're going to welcome you, and they're going to help you.
You know, one of the major things about this event, it's about social networking, it's about meeting people, it's about shaking everyone's hand that are in the industry, no matter if you're big or small. This event doesn't cost you anything to come to. We welcome everybody. If you have any interest to come, check it out. You'll meet some of the top breeders in the country. You will for sure at this event meet people who are wanting to make things happen. At this event, everybody here is competitors, but everybody's family. Everybody's trying to strategize and figure out what they're going to market and how they're going to market, and it's just a lot of fun to sit back and watch it all happen.
Over the summer, I get an opportunity to really drive around and see lots of big deer. And I'll tell you, there's some of them that just blew my mind when I saw them this last year, like El Chapo. I mean, El Chapo, his brown tines are like, they're unbelievable. I mean, he's a 2-year-old, and he's a draft pick, high roller. Saw a buck named Black Ice, and Black Ice is like gigantous. I mean, he is a big boy, and he's a draft pick from high roller. There's other bucks in the industry that were draft picks at high roller, but nobody picked them. They just got overlooked, like Willie and Waylon. And Don and Sandy Gilchrist over the G2 Ranch are partners in Willie and Waylon. Now keep in mind, these two bucks are legends in the industry. They are giants. And nobody picked them in the buck draft. So when you look at the bucks like this, you gotta think, oh, as a serious deer breeder, what's their mama look like? And what I'm talking about is paper. I mean, those bucks aren't any accident. Trust me, these bucks, every one of them you look in the room, these monsters, they're no accident. They were all planned, and it's all about the paper. So you look at the bucks and you think, they had to come from somewhere. They came from a mama that's got unbelievable paper.
Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Union Hill Whitetails, the North American Deer Registry, New Dart, and the North American Deer Farmers Association. For more videos on deer farming, check out the Deer Farming channel on YouTube. Now some great information on fencing from our friends at LE Fence.
Hey guys, this is Ron with LE Fence here. What we're doing right now is we're putting an overhead up in this gate area solely because we're trying to hinge the gate off of the side without the brace. Reason we're doing this is because we've got the trees right here and we don't want to take any of the space and take the trees out of here. We want to leave the tree coverage for the deer. So in order to do this, we got to raise the pipes up a little bit, give about 2 feet of clearance over our gate, and then weld a horizontal pipe between the two uprights. In doing so, we're going to be able to hang the gate off of the far post, and that's going to take all the pressure off of the single post and distribute it through the overhead and the brace. That way we can fold the gate open and shut, and we don't have to worry about a sagging post. So if you ever need a solution on how to hang a gate but you don't have all the room for the brace, if you can do an overhead in there, you'll be good to go. So, thanks a lot, guys.
If you'd have told me 15 years ago that I'm gonna be doing what I'm doing in the deer farming community, I'd said, you're crazy. But look at what I'm doing. I mean, these guys in this building didn't know who I was when I started the TV show. They really didn't. I mean, I said, I want to start a TV show about deer farming. I want to represent deer farmers to the entire world and let people know, what we're like, what we do and why we do it. And so all of a sudden now these guys in the room that I didn't know any of them years ago, now I know just about everybody in the room. I'm friends with them. I mean, it's like, it's amazing. You come into the deer farming community and you don't know anybody, but guess what? They're friends that you're fixing to make big time. And there's guys in the room that I've spent a lot of time with now being friends with, not just in the deer farming community, but heck, going on hunting trips too. For example, Brad Hassig. I mean, I didn't know Brad from Adam. I mean, Brad was a deer farmer and I'm a deer farmer, and all of a sudden Brad and I mean, we get stuck together like peanut butter and jelly, and now we're really good friends. We go hunting together.
I'm Bill Holman, Elam Woods Whitetails in Baskin, Louisiana. Last year we were fortunate enough to have a low draft number, and we were able to pick a great buck, a Bureau. He is blackjack over freeze frame, going back to Jennifer, and he has turned out to be a really, really nice buck. If you're not a part of the high roller draft, I encourage you to get with James or Ron and check it out. It's a great opportunity to meet a lot of people from Texas and all over the country, and we have been coming every year they've had it, and we enjoy it every year.
One of the most exciting things about the draft is the deer that get undrafted. The genetics, the book is so stacked, the offering is so strong. Some of the examples of deer that didn't get a draft is Willie and Waylon, and two of the biggest deer that we've ever raised here went undrafted, and wound up selling G2, bought in on them, and you know, some of their offsprings now, Hank and Folsom, and I mean, they're out of deer that did not get drafted that were in the draft. El Chapo is a phenomenal big Jake Sum, huge frame, earthquake's mother on the bottom side, just an unbelievable breed and an unbelievable deer. This is an annual event. If you've been here, we'd love to have you come back, and if you've been here every year, we can't wait to see you next year, and if you've never been here, we'd love for you to come check it out. If you got any questions, just give me or Verona a call. We're gonna put our information on the screen. We'd love to have you.
People ask me, why am I a deer farmer? And I tell them the answer is because I love deer, okay? I'm a deer hunter, and I've been deer hunter since I was a pup, but I couldn't get enough of deer by hunting deer. And I became so passionate about it, I love deer. And so I started, instead of just wanting to go deer hunting, I wanted to shoot the right deer. And the right deer sometimes meant sometimes you didn't go home with a deer. And the reason why is because I didn't see the right deer. What's a right deer? Well, it's an old deer. I mean, and I think a deer farmer learns to respect the animal a little bit more than just a deer hunter. I think we're all deer hunters at first, and then all of a sudden we start respecting and loving these animals so much that what we want to do, we want to spend more and more time around them. So what a better way to do that and to learn about deer than to become a deer farmer. And so it's for that reason that I became a deer farmer, and just about every single deer farmer that you'll talk to is a deer hunter or was a deer hunter, but it's because their love affair with nature and their love of the white-tailed deer that brought them into deer farming. It is not for the money, although you can make money at it. Some people make a lot of money at it. It's not for the money for me, it's for the love of the white-tailed deer.
Okay, so you've got property and you're wanting to build. Maybe a barn dominium, maybe deer facilities, or maybe a badass lodge. Well, you've got to check out Rafter P Construction. Rafter P Construction is the leading design-build contractor across the state of Texas. Specializing in quality farm and ranch design-build projects, Rafter P Construction encourages their customers to be very hands-on, incorporating your input into every aspect of your project with their in-house design teams. The goal of Rafter P Construction is to be your builder for life. Rafter P Construction, they'll be with you every step of the way to build your dream project. All the while, keeping quality and customer satisfaction at the forefront.